Graphic Magazine's Gender Revolution issue from a few years ago. I was asked to make a video for your TDOR ceremony 7 weeks ago, and I admit I kept putting it off because I was busy, but also because TDOR is really complicated as the parent of a transgender child. Um, it's really complicated for me as a white cis woman. I never really feel like it's my place, my space to speak on trans issues or about the trans community or possibly even to the trans community. But I did want to go ahead and record something tonight because I don't want TDOR to go unacknowledged by parents like me. So let me explain. When Avery first told us who she was 10 years ago at the age of 4, I started Googling, I started searching, and TDOR was one of the first things that popped up for me, and it scared me out of my mind. I didn't want anything to do with it. I did not go to TDOR events for at least 3 years because my heart couldn't handle it. I didn't want to think about that violence towards any trans person, let alone my child. But then it occurred to me that I was operating from an incredible point of privilege to be able to put TDOR out of my mind and think that it wasn't something that needed to be acknowledged and revered in the way that it is. Every single trans person's life matters. And it matters because every single trans person is a human being who has people in their world who love them and honor them no matter how their life ended. And I'm really sorry that I didn't recognize that sooner and that I didn't recognize the importance in honoring those people and saying their names. So I thank you for being here today, whether you are trans or cis. And I thank you for taking space and time to hold those trans people and to respect and value their lives and to say that they matter. They did matter, they do matter, and they will always matter. And I thank you for showing up as allies to constantly remind the rest of the world that TDOR is not a day that we want to celebrate or acknowledge. I wish that TDOR didn't exist, and I pray for the day that it doesn't have to exist because every trans person will be respected and affirmed and get to live the life that they deserve. When I go to TDOR events and I listen to names, and in the ceremonies that list the ages, I recognize that almost every single person whose name is read is younger than me, sometimes half as old as I am. And that is heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, and none of us should think that that is a world that any trans person deserves to live in. We should all be doing everything that we can to make things better for our trans community and for our trans loved ones. As an ally, I don't even know what I can do to make the daily life of a trans person better, especially the trans women of color who are often the victims of violence and the names that we're reading on a night like this. But I do know that I have sworn that my entire life will be dedicated to making the world a safer place for the trans community. That I will not stop, I will not sleep, I will move heaven and earth to make sure that the world understands the beauty and the gift that trans people are to all of us, so that in the end, this is a day we can forget ever existed and we can celebrate the trans people in our lives. to every trans person out there who's watching, I see you. I honor you. I acknowledge you. I love you, and I lift you up and pray for your safety and for your well-being, and that other people see the value in you that I do. Thanks for inviting me in.
Hi, I'm Daniel Tarabassi, the Director of Client Care at Full Spectrum Community Outreach in Youngstown, Ohio. We offer a number of services for transgender individuals in the Mahoning Valley, one of which is our adult gender support group that meets the second and fourth Sundays of every month, as well as our LGBTQ youth support group that meets the first and third Sundays of every month. Those times and dates can be found on our website as well as our Facebook. We also offer the Closet or Change, which gives transgender or gender non-conforming individuals gender expressive clothing, binders, wigs, breast forms, and packers for free if they can't afford it or if they're not comfortable expressing their gender at home. We are against all kinds of violence, but especially violence against transgender individuals. Every year we watch the number of transgender people being murdered for who they are go up. Our goal as an organization is to make that number stop. We fight every day to educate our community on what it is to be trans and what it is to be different to ensure violence against transgender people, especially in our area, no longer exists. We're so happy to see a bunch of organizations like these come together in order to honor those we've lost this year, but we're so sad to see the number rising every year as well. So we hope that groups like ours can come together and fight even harder to make sure days like this no longer need to happen.
Today is a solemn day as we mark yet another year riddled with violence towards transgender and non-binary and gender-expansive individuals. It's been one of the deadliest years yet, at least in the past couple of years that we're aware of. Northeast Ohio and our whole Ohio trans and non-binary and gender-expansive community is feeling that pain today. Know that Margie's hope is with each and every one of you. While we may not be able to gather together in person, we will be together in spirit, remembering those that have died through violence, those that have committed suicide, those that have died from COVID, and also those that have died while being detained. We cannot forget those individuals who have died at the hands of our government. Each and every day, many of our trans siblings have to remember and have to think about looking over their shoulders as they walk out their door. People often say that we're brave, and I don't know that I would use that word, but I certainly know that we are strong. We are strong because we come together in community. So today, as we mark yet another year, and as we remember those that we dearly love, and even those that passed due to unknown circumstances like MJ, we have to remember, never forget the sacrifices that each and every one of those individuals made to be themselves. Thank you for joining us today. As hard as it is, as difficult it is, and as sad it is, we have to remember that we can do anything when we stay together. I want to take a moment and thank James from TransOhio and all the other organizers that put this together, as well as Alex from the University of Akron and the STEM organization. Alex spent a lot of time on these videos, and I appreciate that, and I want to thank him. Thank you to all the others that supported us, our local organizations, the statewide organizations, to be able to come together and put this together. Thank you for your voices, because right now our voices matter. So take time today. Be good to yourselves today. And remember that each person within my trans and non-binary and gender expansive family, you are all my heroes, because I look to you for strength every day. Remember, Margie's hope is here for you all. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Arnold. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a volunteer with the Human Rights Campaign in Cleveland. In 2020, at least 37 transgender and gender nonconforming people have been victims of fatal violence, the deadliest year on record. This grim milestone proves what we have long known. This violence is an epidemic. Each one of the lives we lost was someone ripped from their family, their friends, and their community by an act of senseless violence, often driven by bigotry and transphobia, inflamed by the rhetoric of those who oppose our progress. Since 2013, HRC and advocate organizations have tracked 202 cases of fatal violence against transgender and gender nonconforming people across 30 states and 113 cities nationwide. Those are only the ones we know about. Although each case is unique in its circumstances, we know this epidemic disproportionately impacts Black transgender women, who comprise 66% of all victims of fatal violence against transgender and gender nonconforming people. Not even a few months ago, we learned of the death of 28-year-old Leah Day right here in Cleveland. Not only did Leah lose her life, but she was misgendered in death. Our community continues to share the outrage. Today, especially today, we remember them. We are left questioning why this is happening year after year, and why so many people have hate in their hearts. So what do we do? What can I do? This moment requires action. We must renew our commitment to fight for the most vulnerable and marginalized, regardless of the way we look or love or worship. And what does fighting look like? It comes in many forms: voting, marching, protesting, organizing, donating, mourning. It's being a shoulder to cry on, or in this pandemic age, a Zoom call with virtual hugs. And yet, fighting is always a revolutionary act. It's about radical justice at the local, state, and federal levels. On this day, when we remember the lives of so many we have lost this year, I want us to have hope that together we will bring this violence to an end and lived equality will be fully realized. I believe there is reason to hope now more than ever. Thank you for letting me speak, and may our transgender siblings rest in power.
Hello, my name is Brandon and I'm an organizer for Transcendence, a transgender support group based in Cincinnati. This group started in 2017 and we're made up of people of all ages and genders. Our meetings are open to trans, non-binary, and questioning individuals, as well as partners and friends. We have an online support meeting on Zoom on the first Wednesday of every month, and an online social meeting on the media platform Discord on the third Wednesday of the month. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Transcendence Cincinnati, and email us at transcendencecincinnati@gmail.com for meeting times and invitations. As we are fully online for the time being, you need not be local to Cincinnati to attend our meetings. We are here for anyone who needs us. Thank you, and I hope you'll consider joining us.
Hello friends, my name is James Knapp and I am Chair of TransOhio, which is Ohio's first and largest transgender equality organization. The Transgender Day of Remembrance is always difficult. It's hard to sit and listen to the names of everyone we've lost in the past year, especially when the overwhelming majority of those names is young, black, trans women. But it's especially hard when we're the only ones having those conversations. You know, this year feels even harder than most. We didn't just lose people to transphobic slangs, but also to illness, COVID-19, improper and negligent medical care, and suicide. It's felt like an attack from all sides for as long as many of us can remember. But I don't want you to give up hope. We're closer than ever to passing statewide trans-inclusive non-discrimination laws. We have 4 gender clinics in our state, and whereas when I was a child, we had none. We're fortunate to have been able to see the transgender community grow in the past couple of years. There are many organizations and support groups specific to trans and non-binary youth, to parents of youth, and to allies. As always, TransOhio is here for you, but I want you to remember also to reach out to other organizations that may be better able to suit your needs. This year, TransOhio reached out to other trans organizations to bring together a full statewide Trans Day of Remembrance. We tried to include as many organizations as possible. And in these slides, we're going to show you the different trans organizations and support groups across the state. So if there is not a group in your area and you would like to start one, please reach out to TransOhio and we can help you with that. We're in this together, folks. Please reach out if you need help. In 2021, TransOhio will be launching a new website with a new and improved resource list. Until that happens, please reach out on Facebook or by email. We're here for you.
In 2004, I was attending a trans family meeting at the home of Karen and Bob Gross. At that time in November, I remember the first time I had heard about the Transgender Day of Remembrance. It was a small group of people gathered around, taking a moment of silence and lighting a candle. And I thought to myself, how can people kill us just because we're different? Sadly, the numbers grew. At least I thought they had, because we hadn't talked about it, because it wasn't being discussed, because people didn't know about transgender individuals. In 2005, I formalized the Transgender Day of Remembrance in Cleveland, starting out in the basement of the LGBT Center up in Cleveland, when it was down in the darkest dungeons of Cleveland, in that small area that we had. From there it grew. But in 2007, as I was looking up once again all of my siblings who had died violently due to the murders, I said to myself, there has to be hope. There has to be something that we can do. We have to recognize the good that is happening in the community, the people that are coming out, the community that we're finding. And the Day of Remembrance was very, very hard, because at that time I was looking at everyone that had been murdered. I was looking up all the information. And so as Aaron and I discussed this, we decided to come up with the Illumination Awards. And the Illumination Awards are given to individuals and organizations that help to advance the transgender community and transgender individuals. We had to find hope during this glimmer of darkness, and this is the way that we found it. So each year since 2007, we have been giving out the Transgender Day of Remembrance Illumination Awards. And there are 5 different categories. The first is the Best Supporting Organization. The second is the Cisgender Ally Award. The third is the Outstanding Student, whether it's a high school student or a college student. The fourth is the Leadership Award for someone within the transgender community. And finally, the last one is the Civic Leader Award. Somebody that has used their power in civic service to advance the rights of transgender and non-binary and gender-expansive individuals. So this year, even though we're virtual, we are still carrying on our tradition, because we still need hope. And we know that there is hope. So this year, I'm excited to announce our award winners. And even though we've had to be virtual and we've not been able to connect with people in the way that we're used to doing that, the organizations and the people that have received these awards have been doing the best type of connection that they can. So for the Outstanding Organization Award, we are giving the award actually to 2 PFLAG organizations, PFLAG Cleveland and PFLAG Akron. Both of them have been working so closely with not only the transgender community and welcoming them into the meetings, but parents of transgender individuals. So often it is hard to find somebody that understands what we're going through, especially parents. And so when PFLAG started, it was a way of parents to come together and talk about their children and share experiences. And actually that's how Trans Family of Cleveland started. Karen and Bob Gross, parents of a transgender individual, they were looking for support. And so they decided to start their own PFLAG group. But little did they realize that it would quickly turn into a group for transgender individuals themselves, because they too needed support. And so I'm proud to give this award to both PFLAG Cleveland and PFLAG Akron. The next award is given to a cisgender individual who has come along and been supportive and helped the transgender community and the non-binary community in ways that go above and beyond. This year, I am ecstatic to give the award to Penny Daly. Penny Daly is a social worker at Akron Children's Hospital in the gender clinic. Penny goes above and beyond to help her clients. Not only has she worked in the community for many years prior to coming to Akron, but since she's been at Akron and since she's been at Akron Children's Hospital, she has worked diligently to make sure that there are resources out there for families, resources out there for children. And one of the resources that she helped put together is the Trans Allied Youth collaboration. Penny, Akron Children's, along with Margie's Hope, started this collaboration with 60 organizations that showed up to our first meeting because they wanted to help trans youth. Penny is so much more than just a social worker. She is someone who cares and has a passion for youth and a passion for the community. And I appreciate her collaboration, and I appreciate the passion that she brings to the job that she does. Thank you, Penny. The next award goes to an outstanding student. And I know this year has been a really tough one because students haven't been in the classroom. Students have often been online. And so this student actually does a lot of things, not just within the school, but outside of the school, using the fact that he's transgender and being proud of it for his medium. He's an artist. He's a theater geek. He has a passion for advocacy. And so I'm so proud to give Jax Chillin the Outstanding Student Award this year. Jack has shown up for different organizations to help them out when they've needed a youth to speak. They've been in the drama with the Queer Youth Theater and performed last year at the Transgender Day of Remembrance. And he's always gone above and beyond. I'm very proud of this young man. The next award goes to the civic leader. And this year we are honoring Councilman Matt Zone. Councilman Zone has been part of the LGBTQ community as an ally for many, many years. His brother was gay. And because of his experience and his love for his brother, he has had a passion for the LGBTQ community. And his passion didn't just stop with the gay community, but his passion was also for transgender individuals as well. Matt is, I should say, until he leaves office later this year, he is a man who, when he sets his sight on something, follows through. And sometimes he doesn't do it in a loud roar, but he does it with the power of his vote. I appreciate what he has done in helping to pass the non-discrimination policy to fully support trans individuals and non-binary individuals in employment, housing, and public accommodations. Whenever I've needed to have a conversation with him, he was always open to have that conversation. And Councilman Zone, I know in your next job that you will be a force to be reckoned with, like you were a force in council. Thank you for your work, thank you for your passion, and thank you for supporting the transgender community. The award goes to a transgender individual who is a leader within the community. Avery Martin has been a remarkable, standout individual for many, many years. They are the type of person that comes to the forefront when it's needed, but is also able to stand back when they are supporting. Avery is not just concerned about transgender individuals and transgender lives, but they are also concerned about human lives. Avery is not only an activist for the trans, non-binary, gender diverse community, but they are also activists for the Black Lives Matters movement. They are also an activist for showing up for racial justice. They are concerned about the rights of every individual. They see the systemic racism that happens within the world and especially within the justice system. How our black and brown siblings are often thrown in jail for minor details. Avery stands up. Avery stands out. Avery walks the walk. So this year, as we recognize individuals, Avery is an individual that needs to be recognized for the activism that they do, for the support that they show, and for the love that they have for humanity. Thank you, Avery, for all that you do. Thank you for all that you are doing, and thank you for standing up for the least of these. Congratulations, everybody. I'm so proud to know each and every one of you, and I'm glad that you and the organization PFLAG stand in solidarity with trans and gender expansive individuals. Continue to fight the fight and do the work. And again, thank you.